In the heart of Texas, a quest for justice twists into a dark saga of betrayal and revenge. Unravel the secrets that shook a community to its very core and challenge the bounds of morality and forgiveness. In a dimly lit office in Dallas, Pastor Thompson's hands tremble as he holds a photograph that could unravel his entire past. As he stares at the faces of a woman and child captured in a moment long forgotten, his eyes betray a fear that pierces through the calm he's maintained for years. Who are these figures from a chapter of his life he thought was closed, and what secrets are they about to expose? This photograph, this simple piece of paper, is a ticking bomb that could destroy everything he believes in. What will happen when the truth behind it comes to light? Before we delve deeper into this web of intrigue, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Now, let's crack this case wide open. Emily, under the guise of seeking a fresh start, steps into Pastor Thompson's world. Her appearance that of a soul in search of redemption, but her intentions far more investigative. She joins the staff at Pastor Thompson's church in Dallas, taking on the role of his secretary. Ostensibly there to support the daily running of the church, Emily's real mission is meticulously planned and executed with precision. Her task is singular: to peel back the layers of a man idolized by his congregation, revealing the hidden truths of a pastor she suspects is not what he appears to be. As she settles into her new role, Emily becomes an indispensable part of the church's inner workings. She organizes Pastor Thompson's calendar, manages his communications, and becomes privy to confidential discussions and documents. With each day, she is a quiet observer, her demeanor calm and unassuming, yet her mind sharp and recording every detail. She notices how Pastor Thompson interacts with his flock, his words always measured, his smile ever present. Yet, she senses a dissonance between his public persona and the man she glimpses when he thinks no one is watching. A flicker of anxiety, a hardened glance. Her suspicions deepen as she starts to connect the dots from the pasts lurking within the pastor's polished speeches. Hidden in the mundane, bank statements, old correspondence, meeting notes left carelessly on his desk, she finds the anomalies that begin to form a pattern. Payments to unknown entities, large withdrawals coinciding with trips out of state, cryptic phone calls that end abruptly upon her entrance. Description: one clean shave, one white jacket and padded version of his gun, his sweet 16th birthday. Each piece adds weight to her growing conviction that Pastor Thompson's past is shadowed by misdeeds, carefully buried beneath his evangelical zeal. Emily's strategy involves more than just sifting through paperwork. She builds relationships with the church staff and volunteers, weaving herself into the community and listening intently to the stories they share. In these stories, she uncovers veiled references to past incidents, moments where Pastor Thompson's decisions were questioned, but where his authority had put an end to any doubts. Her breakthrough comes when she discovers a locked file in Thompson's desk during a late evening at the office. A file he claimed did not exist. Inside, she finds documents related to a long-ago legal case involving the church, one that had been swiftly settled and hidden away. The details are damning, implicating Pastor Thompson in a serious ethical breach that had been swept under the rug in exchange for silence. Jehuis, the details, Marsh, break it down. The weight of her discoveries is immense, not just in the potential to destroy a man's career, but in the implications for the community that trusts him implicitly. The realization of what bringing this to light could mean weighs heavily on her, yet the need for truth drives her forward. As Emily prepares to bring her findings to the church board, she must decide the best way to present her evidence without tearing apart the fabric of a community. What will happen when she reveals her findings? Will the congregation see the evidence for what it is, or will they turn against her, the bearer of uncomfortable truths? Her actions are set to ignite a firestorm that could either cleanse or consume everything it touches. What started as a mission to expose the truth now stands to test the very limits of faith and forgiveness within a community led astray. As Emily digs deeper into Pastor Thompson's carefully guarded secrets, the narrative shifts to a poignant flashback, shedding light on the haunting past that has led to the present turmoil. The scene takes us decades back to Thompson's younger days in a small, close-knit Texas community, a stark contrast to the polished figure he now presents. In this retrospective journey, we witness a much younger Thompson, vibrant and ambitious, yet brimming with impulsive decisions that would cast long shadows over his future. It was during this formative period that he met Jessica, a young woman from the same town whose life became intricately woven with his own. Their relationship, intense and fraught with youthful passion, soon led to unexpected consequences. Jessica found herself pregnant, and the revelation threatened to derail Thompson's nascent aspirations. Under the crushing weight of potential scandal and community judgment, Thompson made a decision that would haunt him for decades. He abandoned Jessica, denying his involvement to preserve his future, leaving her to face the harsh judgments of their small town alone. This act of abandonment, a stark departure from the values he would later preach, marked the beginning of a lifelong struggle between his public persona and his private regrets. Jessica's story is a tale of resilience and hardship. Left to raise their child Emily on her own, she faced the challenges of single motherhood with a stoic resolve. However, the social stigma and economic difficulties took their toll, shaping Emily's upbringing into one marked by hardship and the bitter knowledge of her father's rejection. The narrative then returns to the present, where Emily's quest for truth is driven by a deeply personal vendetta. Armed with the damning evidence she has gathered, she prepares to confront Thompson not just with his financial indiscretions, but with the very personal betrayal that led to her own difficult life. This confrontation is not just about exposing misdeeds, but is a cathartic journey for Emily, seeking acknowledgement and perhaps even repentance from the man who shaped her destiny through his absence. As Emily steels herself for this confrontation, the question looms large in the air, echoing through the halls of the church and the corridors of the past. But can you ever truly escape your past sins? This cliffhanger sets the stage for a dramatic unfolding of events, where past and present collide, with potentially transformative consequences for both Emily and Thompson. The community, so tightly knit around their pastor, stands on the brink of having their faith shaken to its core as the truths hidden for so long begin to surface. In the shadowy confines of Pastor Thompson's office, the air thickens as Emily prepares for the confrontation that has been years in the making. With the documents she's unearthed spread before her, each one a testament to Thompson's duplicity, she waits for the moment he steps back into the sanctuary he built on half-truths and secrecy. Thompson enters, his demeanor one of calm unawareness, greeting Emily with the customary warmth he shows before his flock. But today, Emily's response is cold, her eyes unyielding as she begins to lay out the evidence of his past and present misdeeds one by one across his desk. Her voice, steady and clear, cuts through the room as she details each transaction, each decision that belied his public persona. Caught off guard, Thompson's initial reaction is one of disbelief. His face, usually an unreadable mask of pastoral serenity, flickers through confusion, anger, and fear as the realization dawns on him that his carefully constructed world is about to come crashing down. Emily, fueled by a lifetime of pain and the burning need for justice, presses on, her words sharp as she confronts him not just with his financial indiscretions, but with the abandonment that defined her childhood. The tension escalates as Emily challenges Thompson to acknowledge his actions, to face the congregation with the truth of his moral failings. She demands that he step down, that he confess publicly to the sins he has hidden behind the pulpit. Thompson, grappling with the shattering of his image and the threat to his life's work, struggles between the urge to deny everything and the crushing weight of his own guilt. My partner, as the confrontation reaches its peak, the church beyond the walls of Thompson's office begins to fill with the murmurs of the arriving congregation, oblivious to the storm unfolding just feet away. Thompson, realizing the imminent exposure, faces a critical choice. Emily watches intently, her resolve unwavering, as she waits to see whether Thompson will choose denial and further deception, or whether he will take the path of repentance she believes the community deserves. How will Thompson react when his world starts to crumble? Will he rise to the occasion by owning up to his past, or will he fall deeper into the web of lies, potentially dragging everyone down with him? The stakes are immense, not just for Thompson and Emily, but for an entire community that has anchored their faith in a man who stands on the brink of disgrace. The tension is palpable, setting the stage for either redemption or ruin as the truth waits to claim its due. As the confrontation in Pastor Thompson's office reaches its zenith, the air thick with tension and unspoken accusations, Emily prepares to enact the final phase of her plan. Her actions, calculated and resolute, are not merely to expose Thompson, but to ensure he can never harm anyone else as he did her and her mother. With the church slowly filling, the ambient noise of hymns being practiced filters through the walls, a stark contrast to the charged silence in the office. So much to reconsider. Emily steps away from the heap of evidence on Thompson's desk and pulls from her bag a small, unassuming USB drive. This, she begins, her voice steady, contains copies of all your secret transactions, the confidential agreements, and personal communications with those you wish to keep hidden from the world. As she places it on the desk, her next words are icy. And it's already in the hands of several trusted journalists. Thompson pales, realizing the depth of Emily's planning. This isn't just about confronting him or seeking personal closure. It's about dismantling the empire of deceit he built. His initial shock turns to desperation as he grasps the full implications of his exposure, not just to his congregation, but to the broader public. But Emily isn't finished. She reveals her next move. A live stream set to begin in mere minutes, inviting the world into the heart of Thompson's sanctuary to witness his downfall. She turns her phone to face him, the countdown ticking down ominously. The world will see the man behind the sermons, she declares, the finality in her voice echoing around the room. Thompson's mind races as he tries to formulate a response. He pleads, bargaining for a chance to explain, to make things right in whatever way he can. But Emily is unmoved. She has seen too much pain, borne too much herself to relent. Her resolve is the culmination of years of silent suffering and the sharp sting of abandonment. As the clock on her phone ticks down, Thompson makes a last frantic move, lunging for the phone in a bid to stop the broadcast. Emily steps back, evading his grasp with a cold precision. The phone slips from Thompson's reach, clattering to the floor but continuing to record. The countdown ends, and the live stream begins, capturing the unraveling of a man once held in the highest esteem. The screen fills with the image of Pastor Thompson, his face a portrait of ruin, his eyes wide with the realization that his life as he knows it is over. The confessions begin to spill from him, a mix of truths and excuses, sobs and pleas for forgiveness, mingling with declarations of repentance. What is the irreversible act that seals both their fates? The live stream ends, leaving behind a silence that feels almost palpable. The repercussions of Emily's actions ripple through the community with the force of a storm surge. News of Pastor Thompson's confession spreads faster than the Texas winds, reaching every corner of the community he once led. The video, now a permanent record on the internet, is replayed, analyzed, and debated, turning once private transgressions into public spectacles. In the days that follow, Thompson's life unravels with astonishing speed. His health, already frayed by the stress of his secrets being unearthed, begins to visibly deteriorate. Sleepless nights and the burden of public disgrace wear heavily on him, dark circles under his eyes, and a stoop in his posture that speaks of a man bearing an unbearable weight. The night that bred health and faith is religion. Thompson's attempts to seek solace within his family prove futile as well. The strain of the scandal fractures relationships that were once his anchor. His wife, overwhelmed by the betrayal and the public scrutiny, distances herself, her trust broken. His children, grappling with the backlash from their peers and the community, confront him, their confusion and hurt evident in their tearful questions and accusations. The church board convenes in emergency sessions, their meetings fraught with tension and disbelief. They are forced to act swiftly to preserve the integrity of the church, issuing statements of denouncement and initiating steps to remove Thompson from all clerical duties. A temporary leadership is put in place, and they scramble to address the congregation, offering counseling sessions and prayer meetings aimed at healing a bewildered community. As Sunday approaches, the usually vibrant Sunday service sees a significant drop in attendance. Those who do attend are a mix of the curious, the hurt, and the supportive. The atmosphere is charged, a community on the brink of fracturing, searching for ways to reconcile their faith with the failings of a man they once revered. Meanwhile, Emily watches the unfolding consequences of her revelations from a distance. She wrestles with a complex mix of satisfaction and remorse. While she believes justice has been served, the widespread pain her actions have caused weighs heavily on her conscience. She reflects on whether the ends truly justified them. In the midst of this turmoil, a pivotal moment arrives when Thompson, looking frail and defeated, makes an unexpected appearance at a community meeting held in the church hall. The room falls silent as he steps forward, his voice barely above a whisper as he addresses the crowd. His admission of guilt and his plea for forgiveness are profound, yet his words do little to heal the wounds inflicted. As Thompson's story becomes a cautionary tale, the community is left to grapple with the implications of his downfall. How will they rebuild the trust that was lost? Can forgiveness be extended in the face of such betrayal? These questions linger, hanging in the air as they ponder the full extent of the duplicity they were blind to. The path to recovery is uncertain, and the scandal continues to cast a long shadow over the community, challenging them to find a way forward from the ruins of broken trust. In the weeks that follow, the initial shockwaves of the scandal begin to settle into a deep and pervasive disquiet that envelops the community. Pastor Thompson, stripped of his duties and distanced by friends and family, finds himself facing the stark realities of his actions. He is a man isolated, grappling with the ruins of a life he built on concealed truths. With little left to lose, he decides to give one last sermon, not from the pulpit of his former church, but from a public park, open to all who might still care to hear him speak. Gathering a modest crowd, Thompson stands before them, a humble figure diminished not just by his circumstances, but by his own new understanding of himself. He speaks slowly, carefully choosing his words, reflecting on the consequences of actions taken in selfishness and fear. He talks about repentance, not just as a religious act, but as a personal reckoning, a need to face and own the wrongs he has done, to try to make amends, even if those he hurt cannot forgive him. His voice cracks as he apologizes, not just for the deceit, but for failing as a leader and as a moral compass for his community. Meanwhile, Emily finds that her quest for revenge, though successful in bringing the truth to light, leaves her with a profound emptiness. The justice she sought does little to alleviate the pain of her past. Instead, it amplifies the solitude of her present. Her identity, so long intertwined with her mission to expose Thompson, now seems adrift. With her goal achieved, she retreats from the public eye, choosing instead to reflect on her journey and its many costs. The satisfaction she imagined she would feel is overshadowed by a sobering recognition of the complexity of human motives and actions, including her own. Emily's disappearance into anonymity is marked by a period of deep introspection. She questions the nature of justice and whether the pain she inflicted in its pursuit was truly justified. The landscape of her life, now irrevocably changed, requires her to forge a new path, one that must contend with the scars left by her actions and those inflicted upon her. End of tale. As the community struggles to heal, they too reflect on the lessons learned from the painful revelations. Conversations about trust, forgiveness, and renewal occur in homes, in coffee shops, and in the very aisles of the church that once housed Thompson's sermons. A new leadership emerges, one that is keenly aware of the fragility of trust and the importance of transparency. A new leadership emerges, and in the very aisles of the church, the hope is expanded. The church, much like its congregation, begins a slow and deliberate process of rebuilding, its foundations now stronger for having been tested so severely. This story, emerging from the heart of Texas, serves as a harsh reminder of the deep scars left by betrayal and the heavy cost of revenge. It speaks to the enduring human quest for truth and justice, while also underscoring the complex tapestry of consequences that such quests can unravel. In his final sermon and in Emily's silent departure, a poignant truth emerges. Actions driven by pain and anger often leave a legacy that extends far beyond their immediate outcomes, challenging us to consider not just what is just, but what is ultimately humane and healing. As the echoes of this tale linger, I invite you to subscribe, like, and share your thoughts below. How do you perceive the moral complexities we've explored today? What do you think about the paths chosen by Emily and Pastor Thompson and the broader implications for their community? And if this story has captured your interest, stay tuned. Our next video will take us deeper into another gripping saga from Texas, where secrets long buried refuse to stay hidden. Join us as we unravel more mysteries and challenge the shadows of the past to come to light. Your engagement helps us bring these profound stories to you, and we value your insights and participation in these discussions.